The underestimation. The massive chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as Earth's delegation stood before the assembled representatives of over 300 advanced civilizations. High Arbiter Vex Moran leaned forward, his 6 eyes narrowing in what passed for amusement among the Arcturian elite. "You mean to tell us," he began, his translator conveying the subtle condescension in his tone, "that Earth wishes to maintain an independent defense force rather than submit to Council protection?" Captain Maya Chen stood firm, her military posture unwavering despite the waves of derision rippling through the chamber. At 42, she had spent her entire career preparing for this moment, Earth's introduction to the wider galactic community. "That is correct, High Arbiter. Earth respectfully declines integration into the Council's defense network. We will maintain our sovereignty with our own fleet." The chamber erupted in laughter, a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and rumbles from the various species represented. Behind Vex Moran, Admiral Draxos of the Centauri Imperium made no attempt to hide his contempt, his scaled face contorting into what humans would recognize as a sneer. "I've reviewed the specifications of your so-called fleet," Draxos announced, projecting holographic images of Earth's ships into the center of the chamber. "Primitive fusion drives, rudimentary shield technology, projectile weapons," each word dripped with disdain. "My scout vessels have more firepower than your flagship." Maya maintained her composure, though she felt her second in command, Commander Jackson Lee, tensing beside her. They had expected this reaction. Counted on it, in fact. "We understand our technology may appear modest by Council standards," she replied evenly. "Nevertheless, our position remains unchanged." Vex Moran's upper appendages twitched in irritation. "The Council's protection is not optional, Captain Chen. The laws of interstellar governance are clear. All developing worlds must surrender military autonomy to ensure galactic stability. With respect, Earth has signed no such agreement." A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Draxos leaned forward, his voice dropping to a dangerous growl. "Then perhaps a demonstration is in order. The Council Defense Fleet will conduct exercises near your solar system next rotation. You'll see firsthand the futility of resistance." As Maya and her delegation were escorted from the chamber, Jackson kept his voice low. "They took the bait, Captain. Completely." Maya nodded almost imperceptibly. "Pride has always been the downfall of empires, Commander. The Council is no different." Back aboard Earth's flagship, the ESS Defiance, Maya gathered her command staff in the secure briefing room. The vessel appeared unimpressive from the outside. A retrofitted transport ship with visible weld marks and outdated external plating. Inside, however, was another story entirely. "The Council has committed to military exercises at the edge of our system," Maya announced to the assembled officers, "exactly as intelligence predicted. They're giving us the perfect opportunity." Strategic Officer Kamala Nasser nodded, activating the holographic display at the center of the table. "The Council believes our fleet consists of only these 40 vessels." The display showed what appeared to be a hodgepodge of outdated ships, most looking like they had been hastily converted from civilian use. "What they don't know," Kamala continued, the display shifting to reveal the true extent of Earth's preparations, "is that we've been developing our quantum mesh technology for decades in anticipation of first contact." A hologram expanded to show hundreds of ships concealed throughout the solar system, many embedded within asteroids or hidden in the shadow of moons and planets. Their true design was unlike anything the Council had ever seen, not because they were more advanced, but because they followed completely different engineering principles. "Our apparent weakness is our greatest strength," Maya said. "The Council's overconfidence will lead them to commit their forces without proper reconnaissance or preparation." Chief Engineer Dr. Elias Wong stepped forward. "The quantum mesh field tests are complete, Captain. All ships can now effectively mask their energy signatures and alter their sensor profiles to appear as anything we want, or nothing at all." "And the phase shift drives?" Maya asked. "Operational on all vessels. The Council's tracking systems rely on tack-in detection. They won't be able to track our movements when we engage the drives." Maya nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. Humanity has had one advantage in preparing for this moment. We've been anticipating threats from the stars for centuries. Our fiction, our movies, our games, they've all imagined this scenario. We've been mentally preparing for this confrontation before we even knew the Council existed. Commander Lee brought up the tactical display. "The Council fleet will arrive in approximately 72 hours. Admiral Draxos himself is leading the expedition. Intel suggests he's bringing a force sufficient to subdue a planet, approximately 300 capital ships." Maya's eyes hardened. He's expecting a quick surrender. He'll find something quite different. She turned to face her crew. "This isn't just about Earth's independence. The Council has subjugated dozens of worlds under the guise of protection. Intelligence reports from our allies on Proxima Centauri indicate that once integration occurs, resource extraction follows, then cultural assimilation. We're not just fighting for ourselves." The next 3 days passed in tense preparation. To any observer, and the Council had many watching, Earth's small fleet appeared to be conducting futile defensive drills. The ships moved clumsily, occasionally even colliding with each other in apparent panic. Reports streamed back to the Council describing Earth's pathetic attempts at military readiness. Admiral Draxos received these reports with growing satisfaction as his massive fleet approached the Sol system. His flagship, the Indomitable, stretched 17 kilometers from bow to stern and housed a crew of 40,000. It was accompanied by a force that had subdued entire star systems without suffering a single casualty. "High Arbiter," Draxos communicated to Vex Moran, "the humans continue their charade of resistance. Their ships are moving into defensive positions around their planet, but their formations are laughable. I've seen herd animals with better tactical awareness. Remember, Admiral," the High Arbiter cautioned, "the goal is integration, not destruction. A show of force should be sufficient." Draxos flicked his third eye in acknowledgement, though he had little patience for such restraint. The humans needed to understand their place in the galactic hierarchy, and his fleet would deliver that message with appropriate impact. As the Council fleet crossed the threshold of Neptune's orbit, they detected Earth's small contingent of ships moving to intercept, a futile gesture that amused the Admiral greatly. "They're sending their entire navy against us," his first officer noted with amusement. 43 vessels in total. "Open a channel," Draxos commanded. When the communications officer nodded, he continued, "This is Admiral Draxos of the Galactic Council Defense Fleet. Your resistance is noted and rejected. Stand down immediately and prepare for boarding and integration. This is your only warning." On the view screen, Captain Chen appeared, her expression unreadable. "Admiral Draxos, this is Captain Maya Chen of Earth's Defense Force. We acknowledge your presence in our system as an act of aggression. It is you who should consider standing down." Laughter erupted across the Indomitable's bridge. Draxos didn't bother to suppress his amusement. "Your courage is commendable, if misguided. Perhaps the Council will find use for such spirit once you've been properly integrated." He signaled to cut the transmission, then turned to his tactical officer. "Disable their propulsion systems, but try not to destroy any of their ships entirely. They'll make good trophies." "Yes, Admiral." Targeting solutions acquired. Firing in 3, 2. The tactical officer froze, staring at his display in confusion. "Sir, I'm getting strange readings." "Explain," Draxos demanded. "The Earth ships, it's as if they're changing their configuration. Our targeting systems can't maintain a lock." Draxos pushed the officer aside to examine the display himself. What he saw made no sense. The Earth vessels appeared to be distorting somehow, their outlines blurring, energy signatures fluctuating wildly. "What trickery is this?" he growled. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. The sensor officer's voice rose in panic. "Multiple new contacts, sir. hundreds of them, materializing throughout the formation. Impossible. Draxos roared. Where did they come from? The view screen showed a bewildering sight. Where moments before there had been empty space between his vessels, now there were ships. Earth ships, appearing as if from nowhere, their designs unlike anything in the Council database. They weren't decloaking in the traditional sense. It was as if they were phasing into reality itself, bypassing the very physical laws that governed Council technology. "Sir, they're inside our defensive perimeter," the tactical officer shouted. "There." The Indomitable shuddered violently as the first impact struck. Not energy weapons as expected, but something else. Projectiles of some kind, moving at impossible velocities, their trajectories shifting in ways that defied normal physics. "Return fire," Draxos commanded, but the order was already proving difficult to execute. The Earth ships weren't staying in place. They appeared to blink in and out of conventional space, making targeting nearly impossible. On the ESS Defiance, Maya watched the unfolding chaos with grim satisfaction. "Phase 2, she ordered quietly. Across the Council fleet, critical systems began failing simultaneously. Propulsion, weapons, communications, all compromised not by brute force attacks, but by precisely targeted quantum disruptors that Earth had spent decades developing. The first wave of Earth's attack had begun, and the Council's mighty armada found itself in a position it had never experienced before, completely outmaneuvered by a supposedly inferior force. The mighty Indomitable, pride of the Council fleet, drifted powerless as smaller Earth vessels swarmed around it like angry insects. Admiral Draxos, for the first time in his illustrious career, felt something unfamiliar taking root in his consciousness. Fear. The reckoning. Admiral Draxos paced the emergency bridge of the Indomitable, his claws leaving deep scratches in the metallic flooring. The primary command center had been rendered inoperable by targeted strikes that somehow bypassed the ship's supposedly impenetrable shielding. Around him, his officers worked frantically to restore basic systems. How? He snarled at his chief science officer. How are they doing this? The Quantary scientist's crystalline features reflected the emergency lighting as he analyzed incoming data. They appear to be utilizing some form of quantum displacement technology, Admiral. Their ships don't move through space in the conventional sense. They phase between spatial coordinates, rendering our tracking systems useless. That's theoretical technology. Even the Mindori Collective hasn't perfected such systems. The humans have, the science officer stated simply. And they've weaponized it. A tactical officer approached, his posture conveying bad news before he even spoke. Admiral, we've lost contact with 78 vessels. Another 115 report critical systems failures. Our formation has been completely compromised. Draxos fought to control his mounting rage. This was supposed to be a simple show of force, a routine integration of yet another primitive world into the Council's embrace. Instead, his fleet, the mightiest assemblage of military power in the quadrant, was being systematically dismantled by a species that had only achieved faster-than-light travel within the last century. "Establish communication with Captain Chen," he ordered. Immediately. When Maya's face appeared on the view screen, Draxos noted the absence of triumph in her expression. There was only calm resolve. "Your demonstration is impressive, Captain," he conceded with as much dignity as he could muster. "Perhaps we underestimated Earth's technological advancement." "This isn't about technology, Admiral," Maya replied. "It's about perspective. The Council has grown complacent in its dominance, believing that there is only one path of technological evolution. Earth took a different path. What do you want?" Draxos demanded, dispensing with diplomacy. "The same thing we stated at the Council chambers: independence, recognition of Earth's sovereignty and our right to self-determination." Draxos felt his secondary hearts constricting with humiliation. "And if I refuse?" For the first time, Maya's expression hardened. "Then we continue this demonstration until there's nothing left of your fleet to salvage." The transmission cut, leaving Draxos staring at a blank screen. His first officer approached cautiously. "Your orders, Admiral." Draxos turned to his tactical display, studying the catastrophic situation. The humans hadn't destroyed his ships. They'd disabled them with surgical precision, leaving crews intact but systems crippled. It was not the approach of a species intent on destruction, but one making a point. "Regroup all operational vessels," he ordered finally. "Defensive formation Delta. And contact the High Council. They need to know what we're facing." On the Defiance, Maya received the update from Commander Lee with a nod. They're consolidating their remaining operational ships. Approximately 87 vessels still have combat capability. "And our losses?" she asked. "Minimal. 3 ships with moderate damage, no casualties." Strategic Officer Nasser added, "They're attempting to establish a quantum tunneling communication link with the Council homeworld. Our disruptors are interfering, but they'll eventually get through." Maya considered this information. The plan had never been to destroy the Council fleet, merely to demonstrate that Earth could not be subjugated. However, the next phase would be crucial. "Implement Operation Mirror," she ordered. "It's time the Admiral sees exactly what he's facing." Throughout the Sol system, Earth's true fleet revealed itself. Hidden bases on Mars, Europa, and Titan opened to release swarms of additional vessels. Asteroids that had appeared solid on Council scans suddenly revealed themselves to be hollow, housing massive battle platforms that had been concealed by quantum mesh technology. Admiral Draxos watched in growing horror as his sensor officers reported the emerging armada. What had appeared to be a mere 43 ships was now revealed to be over 800 vessels of various configurations, all utilizing technology that the Council had deemed theoretically impossible. They'd been preparing for this for decades, his science officer whispered, since before they even made contact with the wider galaxy. Draxos understood now. Earth hadn't just developed different technology. They had anticipated this very confrontation and designed their entire defense strategy around countering Council capabilities. The realization was bitter. His tactical officer's voice broke through his thoughts. "Admiral, we're receiving a tight beam transmission from Captain Chen. For your eyes only." Draxos moved to his private communications terminal. Maya's face appeared once more. "Admiral, I'm sending you files that should clarify our position," she said without preamble. Data streamed across his screen. Internal Council documents detailing the systematic exploitation of worlds that had accepted protection. Resource extraction quotas, cultural suppression protocols, genetic modification programs designed to create more compliant populations. These were classified operations that even many Council members were unaware of. "How did you get these?" Draxos demanded, his voice barely audible. "We have allies, Admiral. Not every species appreciates the Council's version of integration. The Proxima Centauri refugees you thought you had completely assimilated. They maintained their identity, their resistance. They'd reached out to us before you even knew we existed." Draxos felt the foundations of his worldview cracking. The Council's supremacy had seemed so absolute, so unquestionable. "What happens now?" he asked. "That depends on you," Maya responded. "Our demonstration is complete. Earth will not be integrated into the Council's defense network. We propose instead a new relationship, one based on mutual respect and genuine cooperation." Across the disabled Council fleet, Earth vessels were now providing assistance, helping restore life support and stabilizing damaged systems. It was a calculated gesture, showing both power and restraint. "You could have destroyed us," Draxos observed. "That was never our intention. Earth doesn't seek dominance, Admiral. Just recognition of our right to choose our own path." The standoff lasted 3 more days as the Council leadership debated their response. Earth's fleet remained deployed, visible in all its unexpected might, a silent reminder of the new reality. When the Council's decision finally came, it was delivered not by High Arbiter Vex Morin, but by a previously silent faction, the Collective of Independent Worlds, a minority group within the Council that had long advocated for reform. Earth is recognized as a sovereign entity with the right to maintain its independent defense force, the collective's representative announced in a galaxy-wide broadcast. Furthermore, the Council will establish a commission to review its integration protocols for all member worlds. It was, by any measure, a stunning reversal of centuries of Council policy. As Admiral Draxo's crippled fleet limped away from the Sol system under the watchful eyes of Earth's armada, the message was clear. The galaxy's balance of power had fundamentally changed. Maya stood on the observation deck of the Defiance, watching the stars with Commander Lee at her side. "They'll be back," Lee commented. "Not as conquerors, perhaps, but they won't simply accept this new arrangement." "Of course not," Maya agreed. "Change never comes easily, especially to empires. But we've opened the door for something better." Throughout the galaxy, news of Earth's stand against the Council spread like wildfire. On countless worlds that had been forcibly integrated, populations looked to the skies with something they hadn't felt in generations: hope. Earth's victory wasn't just about advanced technology or military strategy. It was about imagination, the human capacity to envision different possibilities and make them real. While the Council had followed a linear path of technological development, humanity had taken inspiration from its dreams, its fiction, its capacity to think beyond conventional limitations. As Maya prepared for her address to Earth's united governments, she reflected on the irony. The Council had dismissed humanity as primitive based on superficial observations, never suspecting that Earth's greatest weapon wasn't its ships or its quantum technology,